What's going on, everybody? This is your man, Dr. John C. Turner, aka Professor JT. And I would like to say a very special happy birthday to hip hop. We had to do this special. And as always, I bring great doctors who are going to talk about the incredibleness of hip hop today. Let me tell y'all, folks, we threw this together quickly, because we knew we had to do something. And we're going to do something fun today, and I'm excited about. I got Dr. Norris, Dr. Regalado, and I'm going to allow them to introduce yourselves. Hey, if you're checking us out, say hello in the comments. Let us know that you're checking out the Doc Chat Show. So we're going to start with Dr. Leslie Regalado. Welcome once again back to the Doc Chat. Introduce yourself. We appreciate you being on today.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me. This is a really special topic to me, so I'm super excited. But I'm Leslie Regalado, and I live in Dallas, Texas. I am a doctoral degree holder. I graduated from Liberty University with an Ed.D. in curriculum and instruction. And I teach sociology of hip hop at a couple of different schools. And so I'm super excited to not only personally love hip hop, be a fan of hip hop, but also I'm grateful that in my career I've had an opportunity to actually talk about hip hop with my students.
That's epic. Absolutely epic. Dr. Alyssa Norris is here with us, a first timer, and we appreciate you so very much. We've been trying to get you on for a long time, so hey, I appreciate you jumping on. Welcome to the Doc Chat Show. Introduce yourself. We appreciate you being on.
Hey, everybody. I first thank you for inviting me. I am happy to be here and share what I know and what I think my students absolutely love. I actually hold an MD from Baylor College of Medicine, and I am almost finished with my PhD with Walden University in psychology with a concentration in teaching. I'm just excited today, and I'm so excited, even more excited to know that Dr. Regalado works at the same college that I work at. So we're going to have a meeting of the minds for sure, since you're doing sociology and I'm doing psychology, so we can kind of share some information.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you, God works in mysterious ways. This
Absolutely.
one came together quick, and we're going to have some fun with it. Hello to Dr. Tooks coming on, supporting the Doc Chat once again. We appreciate you very, very much. All right, folks, I got a video I'm going to try to show. I hope it shows. We know how technology goes. So we're going to see what we got, and that's going to give us a good start to our conversation today. So let me get it pulled up. Without further ado, see what we can do.
Music he played made life work and made him a legend. Cool DJ Herc.
Cool her, cool her, cool her. Who's that? Who's that? I'm that guy who started all this mess, okay? From b-boards to dancing and making it to groove on. That's it. Get you up and sit you down. Oh, this is my sister. She started me out, okay?
I'm the first hip hop promoter. My back to school party that I gave, 1520 Cedric Avenue, August 11, 1973. That was the birth of hip hop. At the time, New York City was almost bankrupt. There was really nothing there for kids to do. When we started the party, it was different because you felt connected. You felt a part of it.
When Cool Herc gave a party, everybody be there.
I didn't want my party to be whack. So I said, Herc, I'm giving a party and you're going to play the music. And he said, okay. How was it?
Pretty good. Everybody showed up, had a good time.
Wow.
People heard music they never heard before.
The Other Brothers, Jimmy Castor, Gladys Knight, Baby U, and the Mexican. What I did, 2 records, I extend the records. Right now, I call this the merry-go-round.
If you look in the vinyl, when there's a heavy groove on there, that's when Herc said, oh, okay, that's the groove. And the B-boys were just waiting for that.
Yeah. Those are my turntables. That was it. You don't find this no more. So this right here, this is the power. And also system cooled out at the same time. So you never overheat. We gave another way out because I remember I met Biggie. He said, Herc, thanks for starting this hip hop. Otherwise, I've been stealing. He said, thank you, Herc, and I appreciate that. I wish I could play right now. Give you a little taste. There's three kind of people. There's white people, there's black people, there's brown people. And that's where you find me at.
Hip hop has done so much. It's a global genre of music. I want the legacy to be that something that we did is positive. And we just want everybody, whoever, have an opportunity to have a piece of history to know this is where it came from. This is where it started. And it's just something that came out of love.
Cool her. Who's that? Who's that? Let's see the first MCs. So that's what's up.
All right. I'm going to start with Dr. Leslie. Tell me what today means as far as being the start of 50 years of hip hop.
You know, I actually, when I woke up today, I was thinking about hip hop. And to some people, hip hop is simply music, right? They use those words interchangeably, hip hop and music. But for me personally, today is a representation of my own life experience, my own joy, my sense of joy about what hip hop has given to me. And also, when I think about the birth of hip hop, right, 1973. So I was born in 1971. And so hip hop is parallel to my own life experience and my own lifetime, I guess you could say. So it means something personal to me. There's just so much that I have received from hip hop. You know, most relationships are reciprocal, right? It's give and take. But I would say that my relationship with hip hop has not been reciprocal. I mean, maybe there's things I've done to reflect hip hop in my life, you know, my culture or whatnot. But hip hop has given me so much joy, so much knowledge, and so much. It's like a hug. Hip hop is like a hug to me. I've said that before. It just stays with me no matter what, through everything. So
that's real. That's real. All right, we got Dr. Norris here. What does hip hop mean to you? And seeing that video, 50 years of hip hop, where did it start for you, and what has it just mean for your life?
Well, unlike Dr. Relegado, I'm a little older than hip hop. I was born in 67. So it was, I think for me, it just means it brings back a lot of memories, a lot of good memories from college. And, you know, I was in college in the 80s. So it was fun. And just, you know, even when you hear a song, it brings back, you know, somewhere where I was at on campus, or maybe somebody I was dating, depending on the song, or, you know, what was going on in your life. And music tends to do that. It takes you back into a moment in time, whether it be good or bad. You know, you can identify that with a different song, and hip hop has a way of doing that like no other. For me, mostly hip hop brings about joy. I don't find that it brings any, at least for me, any negative thoughts. You know, maybe for some people, there are some songs that may have some trigger some of those negative thoughts, but for me, it just brings about a sense of joy, and just has moved as I've moved along into my from my younger life into my adult life. It's made all the difference. You know, when you hear a song and you go, oh, I remember what I was doing then, or I remember what was going on in the world as it relates to that particular song.
So we both hit on songs. The songs. Mm-hmm. Dr. Leslie, I need a song. What 2-3 songs right off the bat you're like, man, that takes me to a place? And where does it take you to?
Friends by Houdini is one of my old school hip hop favorite songs. It takes me to a place. I also would say The Story of OJ by Jay-Z. The reason that I love that song is because of its sociological significance. I've used that song, in some of my classes and whatnot. I love anything by Big Daddy Kane, anything by MC Lyte, and of course LL Cool J. I'm an old school hip hop person, right? When I think of I Need Love, I know that was kind of a shift in hip hop, going from more of an upbeat tempo, party kind of music to something more introspective. And I think for me, that's why that song is important, is because it reminds me that hip hop isn't just one-sided. It's very multidimensional, and can embrace us in different areas of our lives or different experiences that we have.
Dr. Norris, your song. What are your songs? 2, 3 songs.
There's so many. I love absolutely, because that's what I grew up on, is the old school hip hop. So one that kind of springs for me is Queen Latifah's UNITY. It's like women empowerment before, at least for Black women, before it kind of became the it thing now. We're all about girl power and Black girl magic now. That's the thing. But she was Black girl magic before there was a Black girl magic. Okay.
There you go. There you go.
We saw the Queen and we were like, yes, UNITY, it's about us. You're not going to call me out my name. You're going to address me like the lady that I am, And that for me, that is the one that stands up. But for like a more fun, I love Salt and Pepper. They kind of gave you that fun twist to it. And then anything by the Ghetto Boys. I'm sorry, I'm pulling on my Houston. Are you my mind playing tricks on me? That is if that comes on and my favorite cousin is in the car with me, we just like go in, and people are driving like, what are they doing over there? We're dancing, we're singing, so we know the whole songs, the clean version and the not so clean version. But yeah, like she said, it just takes you back to a time when, at least with me, a lot of things were lighter in the world. And the hip hop does that for me.
That's good. That's good. We are here, Dr. Regalado, Dr. Norris on the Doc Chat. And I'm telling you, man, this hip hop thing is real. You're talking about something that started out. A lot of people don't realize with the video I showed, that party was 25 cents for women and 50 cents for men. And they were just trying to get some money to get some school clothes. That's all they was trying to do. And it started a revolution. You're talking about something that has revolutionized the world. And before we kind of get into my song list, let me pull it up.
Oh, you have a whole list.
Oh, let me tell y'all something. Hip hop has been so much in life for me, because I could tell y'all the times where I was sitting there screaming, "We're Gonna Make It" by Jadakiss in my college dorm room because the classes were too hard, where I'm at the college party and you'll hear that subtle dum, 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 that 50 Cent in the club, and everybody's just going crazy. I'm telling you, it's just life. And so something I want to show that I do, and I don't know if folks do this. But
Dr. JT, let me interrupt you before you go into your list. The one that I left out that I should have said, that's probably the most transformational song in my life, is UTFO, Roxanne, Roxanne. When I think of hip hop, I think of UTFO. Yeah. I can remember being like in the 7th grade when that song was out, and I couldn't think about anything else. That song was with me everywhere I went. That song, UTFO was it.
See, that's what it's about. Dr. Doris, you have another one you could think of?
There's just so many. The hip hop parade, you just all that Dougie Fresh. You can't Anybody, anytime Dougie Fresh can come
The
on
show,
now.
yeah.
Yes, and everybody's like, that's the song. If you
Or
are
Slick Rick, anything with Slick Rick in it.
yes,
Reminds me of Pop.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Yeah. We
See.
could have a whole concert with just those and it would absolutely sell out. I would go sit, even in this heat, I would go sit on the lawn and watch them perform.
And they talk about that Texas heat. And so hip hop
No
is
joke.
real if you will go sit in some heat and listen to your favorite hip hop artists and songs, because once they play that song that takes you back to that place, it just transforms you. I'm telling y'all right now, we're just getting started. Dr. Doris, Dr. Regalado, if you are here checking us out, you're in the comments. We want to know your favorite hip hop songs. What does that song mean to you? We want to hear about it. So like I said, without further ado, let me pull up. So I have this bad habit of when life is just life, I'll go on YouTube and know exactly what I need to pull up and listen to. So these are my tracks. This was back in January. And I know the days I'm like, oh, that was the day I was just on YouTube for like 4 hours, just listening to music. 4 hours.
I love that Jaheim song too.
Oh my God. That was my song because it still touches me today, because it was a preface on, do women like me because I have money or not? Do they like me because I look good or not? Do they just love me for me? That song touches me a whole lot. So let's go down all these memory lanes, songs I love. Wipe Me Down is everything to me because that's when I came through Kappa Alpha Psi, spring 2007. And that was it for us. That was it. That was our song. All right. Shout out to ATL. Shout out to Philly Freeway. What We Do. 21 Savage, J. Cole. This is a classic, beautiful song about life and privilege. And sometimes we don't see everything that's happening in life, but we have to realize that a lot of us are going through what? We're going through a lot. Beautiful song. This song by Young Guns, Can't Stop, Won't Stop, was huge to me because it came out while I was in college and I went to Indiana State University. And this young man right here had an Indiana State University on in a music video. It was over. Like, it was absolute. I actually went and bought that Larry Bird jersey. I had that Larry Bird jersey. That's what that song went to. Anything Dipset beats. Dipset had very unique type beats, orchestral beats, songs where you hear the little kids that, ooh, oh boy, all those different types of sounds. That was original Dipset type beat. I know women love this song. It touches their heart so much. Love Is Blind by Eve. It just takes them back to a place of overcoming. Very, very huge. As I said before, Jadakiss, We Gonna Make It. Classic song, took me all the way back. Kanye West, we love the old Kanye. We will say that. If people don't know what you mean, trust and believe. Listen to some old Kanye, and it will take you back to just an amazing place. For a young person to make a song called College Dropouts, it was just like, wow, a whole album, but it encouraged us while we were in college. So, I mean, I could be here all day. These are just songs that I just know in my heart where it's just like, oh my God, it'll just take you to a place where you're just like, we need that right now. And even RIP, rest in peace to DJ Casper Slide that just passed away this past week. You know, you're talking about barbecue anthem. You're talking about all those different types of things. And just like Kanye, there's other rappers. We don't claim no more. We're sorry, but you got to acting up. We can't claim you no more. So, like I said, that just kind of takes me back down memory lane right there. We'll go to Dr. Regalado. Kind of tell us why right now at 50 is hip hop so big, and why are we celebrating it as hard as we are right now?
Sure. So one of the things I think that's important that we acknowledge about hip hop, and this is something that we talk about in the academic side of hip hop, is the pillars of hip hop. And because again, like I said earlier, I think a lot of times when people hear the terminology hip hop, they think of music, and hip hop is much bigger than music. Certainly music is, you know, a main pillar of it, but you can't forget breakdancing. You can't forget graffiti, MCing, DJing, there's all of these different pieces that are, adjacent to rap, right? And at 50, I would tell you that when I think back, again, all of these different things have touched me in some way. They've brought me joy. They've, entertained me. I've studied it. I can remember as a kid, obviously, I was so excited about breakdancing. I mean, it just had my attention. We all wanted to be breakdancers. And one thing I will say, and I'm going to go a little bit deep right here, is I think in general, the mainstream culture, when they think of hip hop, they think of Black culture, right? Absolutely. But the reality is hip hop was not founded only on Black culture. Right. There was a huge Latino influence in the founding of hip hop. And if you think about that, and yes, so where it was founded, right, in New York, there are more Puerto Rican people there. Again, I'm a Southerner. I'm a Texas Mexican, right? But I will say that as a Latina, I was drawn towards hip hop. It was transformational for me. The visuals that came along with the videos and all of those things, I saw myself in those people. I remember a couple of years ago when Adolfo Quiñones passed away, Shabba-Doo, right? I mean, we remember him from the movie Breaking and whatnot. I was devastated. I'm an adult and I was devastated. I truly felt like a family member had died. I remember as a child watching him dance and again, seeing myself in that, seeing that picture. It was so important to me. And it's funny because I think a lot of times young children, while they are aware of like race and ethnicity and culture, they don't have the language to describe it or to articulate the experiences that they're having. And I think for me, I grew up here in Texas in a small town. There weren't a lot of people that looked like me. I mean, most of my friends were Black or white. And so, I hope that these people know that their influence on hip hop, whether they were Black or Latino or whoever, that there are people all over the world that it has touched, myself included. It made me feel seen. It made me feel validated. It made me feel like there's nothing wrong with being a brown girl. There's nothing wrong with wearing bright colors or loving music or loving certain foods or moving through the world and navigating in a certain way. Because when you grow up the way I did, sometimes you can be made to feel that way. And hip hop really reinforced who I am as a person and all of the joy and love that I felt inside that really was, not popular at the time. So I think that's why I love hip hop today. It just followed me and represented me and always held me close.
I love that. We love that. Dr. Norris, what does hip hop mean to you at 50? And what have you seen as it's transcended the world?
For me, it's life. It's living. It just brings me joy. As I feel as the world has changed, hip hop has moved along with it. In one of my classes that I teach at Paul Quinn, it's a race, ethnicity, and gender class, and I incorporate all the different types of hip hop as it relates to, whether it's just basic rap or those, you have people that will incorporate song into it. And one of my students made a point and said, I love everything that you're doing because it's what's going on in the world today. Things that happened even years ago, that you can go back into time and find music that's equivalent to what's happening today. I had them watch Do the Right Thing for one of their assignments, and then they had to comment on that as it relates to race, ethnicity, and gender, and how things that happened in the movie are happening now. And I thought to myself, I hadn't even watched this movie in a long time myself. So let me go back and watch it. I sat there and I watched it. And when I saw, Radio Rakim, him getting choked by the police and all I thought about was Eric Garner. So it just kind of, and all the music, it just brought me to today. And I was like, oh my God, that just happened last year. This just happened before, but it was before its time. All that music is speaking to what's happening today. And so a lot of it was before its time, but now it's coming back and it's just kind of coming full circle. So it's making you see the world, you know, it's almost like they predicted the future in their songs, you know.
That's that knowledge piece of hip hop, knowledge, you know.
Yeah, and it's amazing. It's like they're geniuses, because it's like, okay, how could you have known that this was going to come around in 2020 or 2021, and you know, all the police brutality, you know, it's just it's amazing to me. So I mean, I think that for me, that brings me joy that you had all these rappers and all these lyricists that were so knowledgeable even then.
Yeah.
And it's just moved right along, you know, from the 80s to we're 2023, and that music is still very relevant. If you can pull any song from 1980, from 1970, and drop it right now, and these kids, these Gen Zers will go crazy. They'll be like, oh my goodness. Perfect example. Remember when Missy Elliott, what's her name? She came out as a special guest. Katy Perry did the Super Bowl. She brought Missy Elliott out. These kids did not know about Missy Elliott, but all of a sudden it was like, oh my God, who is she? She got a whole new following just from that, because her music was so, even still then, was so relevant. So for me, it's the relevancy of hip hop then and now. It's still connecting. It's still connecting no matter what. And 50 more years from now, we may not all be here. It's still going to be connected. Somebody else is going to be having this conversation saying how much that music is still connecting today.
That's true.
I want to say regarding that movie that you're talking about, you know, that Fight the Power, that, you know, during that season, Public Enemy. I specifically think about the summer of 1989 when I hear that song, because that's the year I went to college. I'm a Baylor grad, and I can remember in summer school, I went to summer school in the summer before I started in the fall, but I went to Baylor. And I can remember all of the Black and brown girls, we always would gather. We would watch Video Soul. We would listen to that music, you know, Fight the Power, F the Police. And you're right, those songs are relevant today. And the students of today, they understand that even though that's an old song to them, it's a relevant song. And relevant music never dies. It never dies. It will never die. It will always be seen as, you know, the roots and the foundation of what comes along with our lives, and as people of color in particular.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it is relevant, and I get that, especially in the intro class to that psych class I do, and I'll play some old songs, and they're like, "What is that?" You know. But then once they hear the song, they're like, "Oh, that makes sense. That sound." And then what I do love about that is that they can relate one of those songs to a current artist. You know, so they're educating me too, because I'm not necessarily into the new school, but as it relates to the class, I finally started, you know, I love Kendrick Lamar, you know, I love Joyner. There's, you know, and I have a consultant for my class, because I'm not big on the new stuff. And I know they don't want to hear all the old stuff. So, you know, it's one of my friends that went to UT with me. He is hip hop guru. So he's like, yeah, let me give you this. Let me give you that. I'll show him my syllabus. And he's like, oh, you know, tell him what the topic is. And I'm like, okay, well, we're going to do this week. Oh, I got a song for you. You know, and the kids are loving it. Oh, Professor Norris, how'd you know that song? Don't worry about how I know.
And what's interesting is in the classroom, the students of today, what they don't understand, right? They're quick to tell us what we don't know. But what I tried to do, I actually taught sociology of hip hop at Tulane University a couple summers ago during the pandemic. And I was showing my kids that some of these songs that they're so, you know, excited about actually come from samples of our music or non-hip hop songs. If you look back, whether it's Spanish music or it's rock music, or if you think of all the samples, I mean, we could have a whole doc chat around that. One of the things I love about Rock the Bells Radio that LL Cool J does is he gives historical tidbits about sampling. He does this thing called Salute the Sample. And I love listening to that, because it is a way to educate people that one of the aspects of hip hop is that it actually is kind of a mestizo, as we say, you know, it's a mix of all these different things. It's not just linear. And that's what I love about hip hop. Maybe it reminds me of me, you know, being mestiza or whatever. there's just all of these influences, and it's such a beautiful thing that certain things never get old.
That's true. That's true.
And there is so much sampling of the old stuff that is ridiculous. And that's what's funny, because they think it's a new song,
That's
and it's like, stop it. It's not new. As my grandmother used to say, there's nothing new under the sun.
We just get us started here, folks. Dr. Regalado, Dr. Doris, we're talking all things hip hop, and I'm telling you, they are pulling out all the stops right now, because if you never heard hip hop broke down, they are doing it right now. And I always think about Ashanti. I used to call Ashanti the beat stiller, because she always took those old school 60s, 70s beats from them old songs and then try to sing. I'm like, you're destroying the song, Ashanti. You're destroying the song. There's a kid just recently, a young rapper, who just redid Nelly's It's Hot in Here. And these kids are thinking that's something new. And they're looking like, no, we know who did that. And it's just so much excellence in the music. And before we kind of go into the next question, just want to preface, you're talking about $1 billion culture, not just an industry, a culture that has taken over the world. And go to Dr. Leslie and kind of talk about how that fits into your curriculum and class, and what exactly is the class, and how is hip hop really being great in helping you teach the next generation?
Sure. Well, as I mentioned, most recently I taught sociology of hip hop at Tulane University, and I actually pulled up my course calendar so I could, refresh on some of our topics. And so some of the modules that we completed were, obviously, we talked about the historical overview and significance of hip hop. We talked about the elements of hip hop, which I just talked about, emceeing, DJing, breakdancing, graffiti, and then knowledge. We talked about influential artists. We talked about the values of hip hop culture. We talked about economic, political, and social realities. We also talked about gender and sexuality. We talked about gangster rap, race and ethnicity. You can't minimize the importance that it plays in race and ethnicity. We also talked about production, sampling, and remixing, fashion and style, which is another big part of.
We're all dying for that one.
And then, of course, activism and social change, which is so important. And then we wrapped up our course with a chapter on the global impact of hip hop. As I was saying, hip hop, it didn't just stay in New York. It touched this girl in, rural Texas that needed it. It touches people in Japan and Europe and all of these different places. And it's so important to who we are. I mean, it's just become bigger than anyone could have ever imagined.
Absolutely.
I'm grateful.
That's true. Dr. Norris, your class, what do you teach, and how is it affecting the next generation?
I teach 2 courses. I teach a intro to psychology, 3 actually, intro to psychology, general psychology, and then I teach the race, ethnicity, and gender. Adding that element of hip hop to the class has made all the difference. I believe just even in the attention span of the students, especially when I'm dealing with my intro students, because they're freshmen. So they don't really want to be there anyway, and you all remember sitting in a class and the professor's just lecturing. That, it kind of gets, mundane, and it's boring, So, and one of my really good friends that went to college with me, she was like, you have such a, your personality leads to just being more interactive. She said, you should throw a different spin to your class. And we sat and we talked about it. So I was like, okay, well, let's try this hip hop thing, let's see how it works. So when my students, especially for the intro class, when they first walked in the class, that's all they hear. We start Monday with Paul Quinn. So that's what they hear. They hear the song. Each week we have a different song. And that song they hear it. As soon as they're coming to class, and they're like, okay, well, what is this about? Especially when you first walk into class and all you hear is, music blasting. We sit, as we hear the song, we discuss the song. We talk about it. And each song each week for the intro class relates to the subject matter, no matter what it is, if it's psychological disorders, mental illness. And that's the beauty of hip hop. There are songs for everything, stress and health. And, even as I started digging into it, I'm like, when I told my consultant, I'm like, well, this is what I'm talking about this week. And he comes back with 3-4 songs. And I'm like, there's this many songs on this subject, that's deep for me. So I was just like, and the students love it. And, and I always do an evaluation at the end of my semester just to have the students, give me some feedback. How did you like it? They're like, this is my best class. I listened to this class. I didn't even want to get out of bed one day, but I was like, I can't miss Professor Norris' class because we're gonna have fun. It's gonna be interactive. And they retain the information. There's studies on how relating music with curriculum helps you retain it more and helps you learn it better. So for me, that's a win-win. We're having fun in the class, and they're listening to songs that they like. Some of the songs, like I said, there's so many new artists that I have loved getting to know about, and I actually like them now, and I'm telling my daughter, because I have a Gen Z in my house, of a sophomore in college. So, she's like, Mommy, you're listening to that? I was like, listen, child, I know about this now. Mommy knows, but with my race, ethnicity, and gender class, it's a little deeper because we're talking about what's going on in society. And each week we talk about, different races. We did Asian inclusion and the Mexican immigration, slavery. And then I have one subject of 1 week, and it's all Black everything. That's my whole topic. The whole week we talk about everything. And I asked them in their journal entry, what would an all Black world look like to you? Listen, y'all, if I let you read some of those, it is amazing, And then their final project for either intro, no matter what it is, intro, general, or the race, ethnicity, and gender class, I have them do a final project. Final project is easy peasy because we've done exams, we've done classroom activities and quizzes, all this stuff. My final exam consists of them doing either a written paper or an oral presentation video. And what they need to do is tell me, they need to pull one topic from the class and how it impacted them. But they also need to incorporate a hip hop song and how it speaks to their life.
Oh, wow.
They have so much fun that some of those videos I see, and I'm thinking, goodness, great. I mean, it's just, it's amazing, especially if I give them that option of writing a paper or doing a video, who's not going to want to do a video, but it really speaks to the beauty of hip hop and how they pull the songs. And I've even had students pull the older songs, the younger students. And they were like, oh, I like the song that you talked about. So I'm going to use this because it speaks to my life, and, maybe the stressors I'm dealing with. Had one student that had, mom was dealing with cancer, and she picked a song and spoke to how that helped her deal with the stress. And I was like, oh, okay. So it lets me know that they are listening. Because, a lot of times you go and they're not listening, especially the freshmen, even the upperclassmen, sometimes they're not listening. No reason I can tell, but I think that it just brings us all together, that hip hop. And like I said, it's going to keep going and going and going. To me, it's only going to get better. Now we do have, in my opinion, we do have some hip hop out there now that I think I never played in class. It's not, it's garbage. It is. It's what it is. It's garbage. It is. Some of it is just like, I don't know. But I've used some.
I think this is a reflection, though, of even what's going on in academia, not just culturally, but how hip hop has influenced academia. Because if you think about it, back in the day when we were in college, Dr. Norris, there was an expectation of read and regurgitate, is what I call it. Read and regurgitate. You had to memorize and memorize. But today, our students' attention spans are much shorter, and they want life application. They want to be able to talk about things where we can take topics and they can apply it to their real life. It helps them to better understand things. And I think hip hop has been an avenue in which we can do that. I mean, you can do it with other genres too, but the types of students that we teach at Hispanic serving institutions and historically Black colleges in particular, most of our students are going to be able to relate to hip hop. So
this is just the most refreshing conversation, because that is what hip hop does. It just brings a breath of fresh air. There is a song that's really going to touch your heart. There's something out there, and that's the great thing about hip hop. So I definitely want to bring this up because I want to show people how far hip hop has come. If you do not know Dr. A.D. Carson, and I'm blessed to be connected with him on LinkedIn. If you're not connected with him, this man has a doctorate. Clemson University.
Oh, wow. Okay.
His doctorate dissertation was a rap album. That was his dissertation.
Wow.
Owning My Masters, The Rhetorics of Rhymes and Revolution. He won an incredible award for this particular dissertation because of its uniqueness and how it brought so much attention to what music is and how it's really shaped not only his life, but also the lives of others. And the reason I wanted to make sure I brought this young man up is because this man became a doctor off of something that, if we be honest, there were some parents that were like, what are you doing singing all this gibberish?
Yeah.
Why are you saying all these words? Why are you playing 2 albums at one time? This is where music has come to an incredible place. And so we'll go back to Dr. Leslie. And you brought up all those different types of places, especially in your syllabus and your modules of the work you're doing. Where have you seen hip hop go that you are just mind blown today? Like, oh my God, I cannot believe those songs that I was just going after when I was a kid and going into has transcended and revolutionized the world just as much.
So one thing this makes me think about is sort of the perceived value of hip hop in society, right? If you think about it, the perception. I think there's a lot of negative perceptions of people who don't love hip hop, right? And they haven't really bought in, or maybe they can't relate to some of the things that we talk about. So some of the negative perceptions of hip hop may be the hypersexualization of women, materialism, high risk behavior, those kinds of things. But for me, I think hip hop, and let me just slide this in here. I have a master's degree in women's studies and diversity. So when I was working on that particular master's degree, I did a lot of study around women's issues, the mothering process, women's hair, appearance, things that affect us as women as we move through this world. But I think hip hop has empowered women in some way. Even though, we could go on about some of the negative things. Again, part of it is reality, part of it is perception. But I do think hip hop has moved into that space where it's given women an opportunity to tell their own stories, right? Mm-hmm. Whether that's around what's happened to them, about being a mother, about being, maybe fashion, about being a student. There's oftentimes you'll hear songs and they talk about this, getting your college degree or doing certain things or setting goals. And those are things that have empowered women over these 50 years. There are more women than ever in the workforce now, and women need to be motivated and empowered just like men do.
Absolutely.
And I think hip hop has said, you know what, we want to intentionally support these women. Now, some women take it a little far. Maybe, I'm kind of like Dr. Norse. There's certain music today that I'm like, is that where your head is? Is that what's important to you?
Yeah.
That's a different issue or conversation. But what I do respect about it is it gives women the opportunity to be a participant in hip hop. There's actually a show on right now about women in hip hop. It's on Netflix that I just started watching a couple of days ago. And I thought a lot about it. I thought about MC Lyte, right? She's my favorite female artist of all time. I love MC Lyte. I love her voice, her deep, raspy, sort of masculine voice. It's amazing. I love Queen Latifah. I love that song Unity. And I think, it's just given women not only a voice, but for some women who maybe feel that this is their only way out, it's given them a platform to share their stories or to build some sort of career. And it, it's lifted us up as women.
That's good. That's good. Dr. Norris.
I
What?
can, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just about to just re-preface the question there. I'm just excited as you because I can't wait to hear, where do you feel hip hop has taken just the world as you're looking at certain aspects and you're saying like, wow, I can't believe something that started as a college jam party or a school party has really went this far in the world.
I think as it relates to that, it has taken it even to the political side. That if you look at a lot of the songs that are of the past, the politicians are using those to push them to get that younger generation, the Gen Zs, the millennials, even us, the Gen X's. Those songs have meaning. It's like she said, it's empowering. And if I can use this song to get me some votes or possibly, uplift myself and get a better career or just make me feel good about myself, that's a win-win for me, for the world, period. But I think in using that as it has transcended in for politics I would have never thought I would hear any type of rap song, even a background beat. If you notice some of these campaigns, and I'm listening, I'm like, wait, why is that Busta Rhymes beat? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And listen, as long as your former president doesn't use it, we're good. But if you listen to some of those songs that they come out on when they're doing those rallies, and it's like, they're using, that's hip hop. So it's everywhere. It's ingrained. It's absolutely everywhere. And it has made a huge, tremendous change in the world.
Think about it. It's not only just in politics. It's on the Target commercials, the Kroger commercials.
Everywhere. Yes.
Hip hop is a social movement. I mean, it is definitely a social movement. And I agree with you. I think that it has, that mainstream America, we'll just say that, understands the power of hip hop. They wouldn't use our music if they didn't understand the power of
Absolutely.
it.
That's true. That's true.
Absolutely.
I mean, we're in a day and age, if you've never seen an Arby's commercial and you hear that deep dun 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 dun, that's a Pharrell beat.
Mm-hmm.
And that is Pusha T's song. Imagine a big company like Arby's, a restaurant, using a beat by a rapper named Pusha T. If you know what Pusha means, that's where hip hop is taking us, folks. Then you have to think about it's one of the Geico commercials.
Yeah.
Where you have the group Tag Team in the Geico commercial.
Mm-hmm.
And they did an interview on Tag Team, and they were in this interview crying because they said just for Geico reaching back out to them, bringing them back after all these years, it was like revolutionary to this next generation. They never heard Whoop, there it is.
Mm-hmm.
But now they're getting streams, and these streams are getting them dollars that they weren't getting.
Absolutely.
So that is definitely where hip hop is taken. And I even say we had Barack Obama, and then you had a rapper that made a song that said, "My president is black."
Right. Yeah.
And it is just huge.
If you think about the first socio-political hip hop song, right? I was kind of looking back through my notes as we prepared for this. And Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five released the first socio-political rap song in 1982. So if you think about the timing of that, and that song was The Message, right? That was the song that really planted the seed and inspired other rappers to talk about things in their community. I think one of the differences between old rap and new rap. So back in the day, in early rap, there was a lot of talking about reality, right? Talking about what is, versus today, there's a lot of talk about what people want,
One day,
materialism and what they want, or the way that they want to be perceived, because we live in a world that's very much look at me and look what I've done and see what I'm doing every day. And so if you think about the emphasis, right, on what we want is kind of music today. And those are some of the differences. But I do think you have artists like Kendrick Lamar. Common is another one that I think of that talks about life, talks about things, talks about what's going on in our social issues that we have. But they're able to weave them into music that's enjoyable. And sometimes you don't even know what you're listening to if you're not paying attention, but it's there. Those messages are there, and they've been there again since 1982. So this is important.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, here at Kendrick Lamar, we gonna be all right. To hear a Common, The People, if you've never heard that song, definitely look on YouTube. Very powerful song. Him just walking through Chicago, showing love to the people, you know, where he's from. A powerful, powerful song.
That consciousness, right? And the other thing I wanted to say about this is, so early on in hip hop, there was this, right, gangster rap, like, oh my gosh, what is this? I mean, if you think back on all the talk shows, everybody was mortified of, you know, what they were talking about. But in reality, I believe that gangster rap was really an early form of socio-political conversation, you know, just through music, right? It was nonetheless a very direct, you know, way of communicating it. But if you think about their songs, you know, F the Police. Again, I was looking at my notes. I had a little thing here about NWA, Straight Outta Compton, Express Yourself, F the Police. And then you have Public Enemy, Fight the Power, 911 is a Joke. By the Time I Get to Arizona, Jay-Z, you know, The Story of OJ, My President, that he did that with Jeezy, the remix, Hard Knock Life. These are artists that are talking about real issues in our communities. And I think that we can't minimize the story along with the entertainment.
That's true. This was the next generation civil rights movement, and that's how they got to express themselves through the song. Dr. Norris, your thoughts?
I can't.
Oh, yep.
While she's trying to figure out her mic, one thing I want to just attach to that is my favorite rapper is Nas, right? Nas is here and Jay-Z's like right there with them, but I love Nas. Like I have always loved Nas. And he has a song called Ultra Black. And I love that song. And while I'm not Black, what I love about that song is that he talks about being prideful about being Black and all of the beautiful things about being Black. And I think that's relatable to other people of color, because I think in society, we're made to think that our color, and we'll just use color as kind of the blanket statement, not necessarily for exactly what it is, but our colorfulness is something bad. But through that song, Ultra Black, you know, I love that song. When I hear it, I get excited. I get pumped at 52 years old. You know, like I just, you know, want to put that car on the road and just drive as far as I can go listening to that, because it gives me a sense of pride about the beauty of being of color. And you know, Nas has this beautiful way of saying things, as does Jay-Z. Again, they're my two favorites, but there's so many others that have done similar sort of projects.
I love Jay-Z as well. Okay. Now, what was our previous question? I was like, what's going on? I couldn't hear you guys for a second. That's why I was like, I could see your mouths moving. I couldn't hear anything.
It's okay. Yeah, just kind of asked you just about, you know, your thoughts on where hip hop is today, and even your favorite rappers. Who were your favorite rappers even today, where it's like, if a young person knew about this person, it would probably change their lives in ways they never realized.
Favorite rappers. I'm not sure that I have a favorite because I like so many of them. I'm gonna go back to Queen Latifah because she just, I mean, it's just something about her. And I do, like she said, Dr. Gatto said, the MC Light, amazing. As it relates to where it is today, I think it's rap hip hop is all in a great place. And again, we had those, like you said, the times with the gangster rap where we're kind of snitchy. Everybody's up in arms about that, and it was not necessarily, at least from others' points of view, a good look for hip hop, for rap. But as time went along, you saw that what the words that they were speaking and the message that they were trying to portray wasn't necessarily what the whole world thought they were trying to portray. It was totally different, and I know there were a lot of people up in arms with what Public Enemy, the agenda they were pushing. It was like, oh no, get them out of here. We can't, even if we can even go back as far as, remember Ice-T? Yeah. And how they would, now look at him now. He's a movie star. He's big screen and television and everything. But they were trying to, as if we had cancel culture back then, he would have been for sure.
Yeah.
If you think about all of the different cultural influences too of hip hop, Dr. Turner, I was thinking about, I love the beauty of different regions, right? So as Americans, we have different cultural regions, right? Texans, right? When when she said, "Oh yeah, you can't forget about the Houston, rappers and what." Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
DJ Screw, Chopped and Screwed. Oh my goodness.
Dude, the Ghetto Boys,
all
Wall,
Chameleonaire.
Or you think about Atlanta, you think about their influencers there. One of the groups that really influenced me as a young person was A Tribe Called Quest. I'm a huge Tribe fan. And I think about, again, just their life experiences and how their stories taught me about their lives. And so each of us have different things that we can share from our own cultures that we can share with the larger culture to educate other people. And it's something that is exciting. I mean, there are a lot of up and coming rappers in Latino culture that have been influenced by hip hop, but they have sort of that Texas, hey, I'm a Mexican from Texas and I'm a rapper, and they tell our stories and they use language, right, in English and in Spanish to tell their story. And again, it's just something unique about hip hop and all of its diversity within the culture.
Yeah.
And to your point, just all the different, like you said, all the different cultures from, you got East Coast and West Coast, you majorly hear about them, but there are others in that mix. You got the down Louisiana, Master P, remember him? And then, you have absolutely. So they made a huge mark on hip hop. So it's just all different types of cultures as it relates to that come in to make that one big melting pot, but it's all hip hop and we love it all.
My husband always jokes with me because when like music from Louisiana comes on or from Houston, or he's like, "Oh, there y'all go," because immediately you're like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "No, it's who we are as Southern people, right?" Yeah. Maybe there's music that speaks to him or a certain way, but yeah, I mean that music speaks to me. It's been my life, and I'm grateful for it.
Yeah,
and it can't come on and you sit still. You just
yeah.
I mean, it was such a East Coast, West Coast thing for a long time, but then when you had down south finally step up, Atlanta, Louisiana, Houston, then when you had from Indianapolis in the Midwest, and your Nelly kicked in there, and Twista from Chicago.
The DOC is from Dallas. Okay, so let's not forget about that.
And I mean, it put cities on the map that maybe you never heard from or been to, but if you heard that song, it put you there.
It's still time. Yeah.
Think about Tennessee and all. Yeah, I mean, North Carolina.
Yeah, and I would definitely say my favorite rapper is E40. Very rare that people will say that, but it's only because he owns his own masters. He has an ice cream business. He owns a clothing line. He owns his own wine. And E40 he's pushing over 30 albums and continues to get on albums with different artists. He has almost 5 decades worth of music in hip hop.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I mean, he's been doing it for that long. So very, very big on E40. Tear the Club Up Thugs, of course, in Memphis, Tennessee. Love them for sure. And then, of course, anything Master P, his story of having $10,000 from his grandfather's, life insurance policy and made a multi-million-dollar, company in hip hop. And just the way we talked about as well, how it's transcended culture, where you have Megan Thee Stallion from Houston making music with BTS, who's from, Asia.
Yeah.
You have Burner Boy, who's huge right now, and a great member of Dipset, which a lot of people know about, is SAS, who were from London. So that is how hip hop has transcended culture.
It's cool to see how they blend, to your point.
Yeah,
Like one
it is.
song that I just thought of, I don't know if you know this song, Dr. Turner, is Bip City by Adrian Marcel. So Adrian Marcel is an R&B artist from San Francisco area that I really love. He's amazing, and he's his music is, I don't know, I think it's relatable to a lot of people, but the song Bip City came out not too long ago, and E40 is on there with him. So
there you go. And you're talking about Lil Baby had a song on the LeBron movie that just came out. They redid what's the Michael Jordan movie? But either way, Lil Baby did a song with Kurt Franklin.
yeah.
And you're trying to figure out, how does this work?
How did it work? Yeah.
But that's hip hop. That's where hip hop has taken us. So as you see, folks, you see how fast an hour goes. I got Dr. Regalado. I got Dr. Norris. We could talk about this all day, but I know they got a busy day, and I want to make sure they get back to their day. So we're going to start with Dr. Leslie Regalado. Tell folks where they can find you and give us one more going away tip that you feel like hip hop has done for our culture.
Well, they can find me on LinkedIn. That's where I'm very active on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram, but those are the places where you'll find me most often. In terms of one more thing about hip hop, I'm just grateful that it happened in my lifetime. I am so thankful for what it's done for my life, for the culture, that even though there are some negative perceptions of hip hop, that the world sees hip hop, and to me, hip hop is it's the essence of it is for people of color, for and by people of color. Like I said earlier, a lot of people don't know the deep influence of the Latino group in hip hop. I know commercially it's marketed as a Black thing, and yes, in rap in particular, it's very it's very much a Black culture sort of a movement. But you think about all the Latinos in hip hop: Cypress Hill, Big Pun, Fat Joe. You think about the graffiti artists, Lee Quinones. You think about the play that just came out a couple of years. What is it? Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Hamilton. Yes,
Latino.
My favorite.
That's Latino. I mean, you think about the dancers, like I said, the movie Breakin'. You think about the Rocksteady crew; those were Latin guys. You think about the DJs, DJ Charlie Chase. He was with the Furious Five and the Cold Crush Brothers and DJ Disco Wiz. These are people that really influenced hip hop, and so it makes me proud to be something that I can feel from my own culture and from Black culture, where I feel so comfortable moving in valuing what it has done for us as people of color. So that's what I take away from it. It makes me proud. Hip hop makes me proud. It makes me want to celebrate my life. It makes me want to, get involved in my community. It makes me want to be more mindful of social justice issues and what we can do to move our communities forward. So like I always say, I'm grateful for hip hop.
I appreciate that. That's Dr. Leslie Regalado, everybody. We appreciate you. Dr. Norris, where can people find you and your final thoughts on the greatness that is 50 years of hip hop?
I'm on all social media avenues, but you can best find me on LinkedIn, but you need to put a C in between my name. But you probably should be able to, even if you put my first and last name, there you should find me. As it relates to hip hop, I think that it has brought about change. It really has. If you think about how the world was and how it is now, it's brought about a lot of change, socially, politically. It's brought to light things that a lot of people probably would have never thought about. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for the fact that people are actually seeing it for what it is, for the beauty of what it is, and not what they thought it was, you know, because even you can go back and think about what you, like you said, your parents were saying, what in the world is that? What are you listening to? And even now, dealing with my daughter, some of the stuff I hear her listening to, and I'm like, what are you listening to? But now I actually listen and I'm going, oh, well, that's deep. That makes a lot of sense. And it's just brought about change. It's brought about cohesiveness in some sense. So I'm just happy that we have it here. I hope it continues to. I know it will. I don't even have to hope that. I know it's going to continue to move forward. And it's only going to become greater, even more greater than what it is. And I am so glad that you invited me here today.
We appreciate you. As Dr. Norris, folks, we appreciate you very much. And I'm telling you, this was a conversation that was needed. I thank these great doctors for having it. And if you don't know anything about hip hop, just know it has truly saved people of color's lives in an incredible, incredible way. Indeed. If you didn't hear from the video from the beginning, Biggie Smalls went to DJ Kool Herc and said, thank you for making this, because it kept me out of drugs. It kept me out of stealing. It gave people something else. So for every kid out there, whether you're big or small, whoever tried to get on the floor and almost hurt yourself breakdancing, or picked up the water bottle and tried to rap into it because you thought it was a microphone, you owe a lot to hip hop, because that's what it makes you do. It brings you to a special place. So for all our commenters, everybody that checked us out, thank you so much. We are here on the Doc Chat every Thursday evening, and we appreciate these great doctors. Once again, Dr. Regalado, Dr. Norris. And until next time, everybody, we say peace out.